My dad was really, really special, and I love my dad a lot.
I'm proud of him, and that even though he isn't here with us, but he died as a true hero.
I miss everything about him.
In the moment that the officers and I had to come see the children, my biggest reaction was, I don't have 7 arms. I have 7 children who just lost their father, and I don't have 7 arms to wrap around them.
I'm Frank Silla, chairman of the Stephen Silla Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Our foundation is committed to delivering mortgage-free homes for Gold Star families and fallen first responder families.
To not have to worry financially is a huge peace of mind. The thought of, what in the world will I possibly do to pay the bills? How will I possibly let the children have a life that feels normal? I don't want them to have to quit their piano lessons or their basketball. I don't want them to feel that we have to move into a little apartment and struggle financially in addition to the emotional weight.
There are over 1,000 families that need our help. Tunnel to Towers is honoring those heroes that risked their lives by providing them with mortgage-free homes.
Those who serve us and then lay down their lives protecting our freedoms and our safety, the least we can do is $11 a month to give them that peace of always knowing there's a home, there's that sanctuary when life feels like it's been tipped upside down, because it has, when you lose a parent in the line of duty, to know you can go home, you can be safe, there's no risk of losing your home. That's a peace of mind that I can't believe you can get for $11 a month.
I'd like to ask you to contribute $11 a month to support their efforts.
Please donate $11 a month by calling 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
Prepare for thrills, chills, and everything in between. It's Vamptober on KLRN Radio. All October long, your favorite KLRN shows are taking a walk on the dark side. Dive into bone-chilling stories, uncover creepy and or the paranormal with our special vampire-themed episodes. Don't miss a moment of the fright-filled fun. Tune in all month long for Vamptober, only on KLRN Radio.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
She's from Atlanta, the Midwest. You know she's milking cows, though, that she's totally clean. It's called Lisa, Lisa, the one I adore. I'm a stony, crusty dude with the mop on top. My melon's bulletproof.
Happy Thursday out there to everybody in KLRN land. This is your early introduction to the weekend. This is Disasters in the Making. You just heard the Weasel. Pauly Shore ripping off one of his, I guess it was a hit back in the day.
90s.
Figure of speech and star of MTV days. That's going to be
Crusty,
tipping you off to what we
dude.
got going on. But as you hear, I'm not doing the venture down the dark alleys and dusty bins of garbage in Hollywood alone, because joining me every 2 weeks from ScreenRant.com, my brother from another website, Paul Young. What's going on tonight?
What's up, Bradley? I'm joining you from somewhere in the Midwest.
What do you like?
I'm in,
You say that
I'm
in
in
a
the
very
Central Time Zone. I needed to get
vague
away
and
from Florida for a little while, and this time I'm not actually out running a hurricane.
So are you in the witness protection program? You're like unable to discern where you're at exactly?
No, I got a buddy of mine who lives just north of Texas. So I've known him longer than I've known my wife, and we just decided to go and take a quick spur of the moment trip to him. So we planned this last month and flew into Dallas, and then we're driving up to see him.
Aha. So you're what?
And
You're
now
going to
this guy
Oklahoma?
I used to watch, I always talk about my past movie experiences and watching movies all the time. So my buddy Eric and I used to watch movies constantly. And we went and watched 3 movies in one day in a theater, which back then was quite the task. It's not like it is today where nobody cares if you move from theater to theater. Back there, we had to pay each time. The last movie that we saw was Money Train. That might have been the last movie we watched together, was Money Train with Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson. This was right after White Men Can't Jump, and they thought they had put lightning in a bottle by putting those two back together. Money Train's a terrible movie. We watched it in a predominantly black neighborhood. We watched it at midnight. We were the only 2 white people there. It was amazing. It was an amazing experience. I would do it all over again. It was awesome. Those people hated that film and were not afraid to like talk at it and throw things at the theater. And we were just having the absolute best time making fun of that film while watching it at midnight in a full theater. It was a full theater at midnight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was open at night. It was amazing. So, you know, it felt good to go up there and see him, and we're going to check things out with him.
Well, that's kind of cool. That's you had to get away. You've been putting in some severe overtime, so I'm glad you're on the road and convalescing a little bit, at least mentally. That's good.
Well, I was until I watched this movie. I fully admit this was my doing. I put this one together. This was my option. I had an opportunity that presented itself to bring a guest on the show, and I decided to go after it. And I partially regret the movie, but not the guest.
A guest, you say?
A guest. Yep, I got a guest.
So we have a third joining us this evening. You're saying?
We do. We'll have a third joining us. It's a live remote where we're doing. I got him to join up. Are you in the Twitter group right now?
I'm on the page of KLRN. Is that the one you're?
Go over to the green room. Go join us in the green room, and I'll show you a picture of our guest.
Hold on.
Dun dun dun.
All right, we're in.
He's in.
Wait a second. What's up? What?
We're staying in her guest house.
Hey, Brad. It's your other podcast buddy, Aggie.
She just casted with you Wednesday.
I was under a gag order and could not tell you. And I just wanted to let you know I did not lie because I am friends with Jennifer. And so I was speaking about her.
Yes.
When I said she was coming to visit me. So
I seen. So is this these are your guests that were in?
Yeah.
Yes, we're staying in her guest house. So I'm like, this is perfect. We need to do a live remote where we broadcast. I've broadcasted with you live before down there when we visited you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this would be perfect. I'm staying in her guest house. There's a bad movie called The Guest House. This all works out. The only thing we had to do is it doesn't really match Vamptober. So we had to bring Jeff into the fold.
It kind of does because the movie sucks.
Oh yeah, it sucks hard. And I wanted to stab myself.
Wow, I see what you did there.
Watching it.
You'll okay, you're gonna have to give me a moment. I have to go through my social media and delete all my posts where I said Pauly Shore was going to be on with us tonight.
I mean, technically the weasel's not here, but you know, but her first name rhymes with weasel.
See, look at this, all kinds of symmetry and synergy going on at the same time.
I mean, just for the record, Pauly Shore is kind of on the show with us. Hang on,
it's true.
I mean, he's right here.
Well, I'm going to try to get through this episode. I'm going to work through my jealousy that
Pauly Shore right there. So technically, he's with us. I'm just saying. Okay. That's enough of that.
He did that song. That we were talking. That's as bad as the Eddie Murphy song from the 90s or the late 80s.
I dare say worse.
Party all the time. But yeah, Aggie's with us. Aggie joined us tonight.
And I watched that bowl of tripe just for you.
While she was making bread, no less.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to work through the jealousy for the remainder of the show, given the fact that Paul is able to go stay at her place before I did. But apart from
Oh,
that,
dude, this place is amazing. I caught a 6-pound bass today in her backyard, and she doesn't even have a pond.
I've seen the pictures. Yeah, she's on a. She has a very lovely vista where she's at.
Yeah, bring your jealous ass over here, Brad. Come stay at her guest house. It's a lovely place.
Now that you've besmirched it, I guess I'll have to at some point.
Besmirched.
Shut up, you're jealous. Well, very happy that she's on as well. So this is way cool, way cool.
It was supposed to be an even better surprise, but since Milton hit 2 weeks ago and I had to work 12 hours.
Right.
Shows in a row.
2 shows in a row, yeah. Unexpectedly.
Unexpectedly.
Sort of.
Well, no kidding. This is cool. This is cool. I'm happy you guys get to hang out together without me, but other than that, no problem. Well, oh, geez. And now we got to work through Aggie's telephone connection.
I think Aggie's hamster may have fallen off the wheel. Phone department.
Yeah, she's got a tough connection where she's at. It's we may have to work through this, or her husband's gonna have to turn off the video game stream. One of the two is gonna have to take place. Did we lose them entirely now?
We're back.
They're here. They were resetting. They're back now.
Okay. Well,
we're out in the middle of nowhere, Brad.
Yeah, I know. And you probably have spotty Wi-Fi in the guest house. See what I did there?
They've got fiber out here.
Really?
They got better connection than we do.
If she got fiber, then how come the connections are always shit when I call her up and I have to tell her, go up by the lake and climb a tree or something, get a better signal?
On the phone. Okay, this is not my fault.
Well, so yes, we do have quite the cinematic tripe to go through, as Aggie said, because this thing, I got to be honest, I was not familiar with this film prior to.
I wasn't either. I just Googled something that made sense.
And I was amused by the fact that this sports 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, don't get too alarmed by that because only 6 people have ever reviewed the film.
We may be numbers 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Yes. And the 0% is not going to move.
Nope.
The needle is not
It
going to
might go
shift.
down.
This is a comedic opus directed by an individual by the name of Sam Macaroni.
Yeah. And he wrote it too.
This should give you an indication of what we have in front of us. Now, Sam must have a little bit of pull in Hollywood because he managed to get a few named individuals, Pauly Shore being one of them, Billy Zane being another. And I'm not
Kristen
really
Chance
sure
in there.
why.
There's a few other people too, right?
Yeah, and there's like
there's
a number of area comedians that show up as well, like guys you've probably seen on
Bobby Lee.
Yeah, playing, bit roles on Comedy Central and stuff like that before. So it's populated and yet at the same time completely vacant. It's almost like one of these high rises they build in China where they just build them for the sake of giving people construction jobs and you have monolithic buildings that sit empty.
Mm-hmm.
This movie feels like that.
But even more empty.
So
It's at its core, it's a basic story of a bad neighbor right? It's The Burbs, but not written as well. It's The Neighbors with Zac Efron, but even that movie sucked. But at least it was written better than this thing.
Well, because it was a reboot.
Yeah,
from Dan Aykroyd's film. So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, they had a really bad idea and made it worse.
I think the other problem here is that they basically had a concept. Hey, wouldn't it be hilarious to have a guy in a guest house who's a complete party animal and ruins everything? And nobody said no. But
look, this movie, I was telling Rick earlier before we started, this movie has some keywords. You know, if you go to IMDb and you look into the keywords for the plot summary, you can kind of get an idea, or at least you're supposed to get an idea. This is how juvenile this movie is from beginning to end, right? Is the keywords, did you go look at them at all?
No, I've never done that before.
Oh, yes. Storyline. Here are the keywords. The first word is guest. The second keyword is shaved labia. Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even aware that would be a category on IMDb.
Apparently, I'm not clicking on it because I don't know what other movie's going to come up with that nonsense.
I would expect that maybe at AVN. But
yeah.
Oh, so and the rest too, because you had the next one was female full frontal nudity, followed by clothed male naked female scene, and then public nudity. Let's just throw it all in there.
Yeah.
All right.
And all of it was gratuitous. None of it was necessary.
Nope.
None of it led to any.
I mean, I'm kind of surprised a couple of the keywords wouldn't be possum and flocka, but you know that's.
I didn't hate the possum scene.
No, the possum was the only character there that was worth anything.
Did you see the possum on the wall of the children's room?
Yes.
With the hippopotamus and the giraffes, and there's a possum sitting there. Like, okay, all right, you made me laugh a little bit there, movie. You got me just a little bit. I'll give you the tip of a star. That's what I'm going to give you. One prong of 1 star.
Had they actually run like they did with Psych and the pineapple and did the possum throughout the entire film, this may have actually worked
Or
better.
like the dog from Funny Farm.
Yes.
It's a running gag. The possum's in the background all the time, and you always see that possum kind of pop up. Or the gopher from Caddyshack. Yeah, you had an opportunity.
There's scenes that take place in the kitchen. You could have had it crawling by the window. There's scenes that take place, in the bed. You could have same thing there. I mean, and it is a nocturnal animal, so it would have fit.
Well, and you could have had the realtor say, like, kind of throw you off the scent and say, what is all this from? She goes, oh, this house has a guest. And then the possum come out and they're like, oh, you mean the possum? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the possum.
Yeah.
Not referring to the guy saying, and let Pauly
Yeah.
Shore's character be a surprise later on where they hear all this noise at night and they come out there and they find him at the guest house instead of the possum. You could have set that up better instead of the way they just kind of left it the way it was. And the possum would have been funny.
And that's the first scene. They go to see this house, and it's a beautiful house. The front is immaculate. The backyard is fantastic, and
It's a house hunter house.
Yeah.
She's a second grade teacher. He works at a skateboard shop.
budget $1.2 million.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
My daddy's going to give us the down payment for this place. And it's what do they say? It was like $600,000 or $700,000. So he's going to give them what, 120 grand?
Yeah, because this is California.
Yeah.
So, and instead of disclosure, the realtor actually tries to smooth it out to where she doesn't really want to say what's going on. But once it comes out that there is a person living in the guest house, and she's like, but you can, he's got 30 days to leave and blah, 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 and all that stuff. And I'm like, what kind of people own the house that allowed this guest to stay there in that manner? Because I couldn't do that. Even California has laws against half of the shit that was going on in there.
And they
half the time though, I'm
Yeah.
spending my entire time watching this movie is like, evict the son of a bitch. But then he comes up with the one line where it's like, oh, you can't get rid of me, buddy, because I'm like a tenant and California like favors it. So
That's not untrue.
And it's not true. I mean, it's completely true. The tenant has more rights than the landlord.
Right.
in the state of California.
And the whole setup is weird, right? Like the whole opening where they do this weird meet cute, but it's from like a giant party scene with music overlaid, and that's how she meets him, and that's the meet cute for them. And the next thing we see is them coming up to buy a house, and he looks like a frat. Well, he looks like a standard
and he got
millennial.
in trouble. That was the party he got in trouble for.
Yeah.
For doing drugs at, and he got in trouble at the university for doing that. And then 3 years later, they're wanting to buy a house. I'm like, wow, okay,
a house way outside their budget.
Extremely.
Well, I think they tried to do that to set up the conflict with the father. So, like she shows up with Kip, who basically is a guy named Kip. Just picture that. He didn't have his collar turned up. I thought that was a missed opportunity, but that's who she's dating at the intro. And you're hitting on pretty much, I was going to say the major problem in this movie, but there's too many to list. She shows up with this guy. We see our eventual star at this party, and he's kind of a milquetoast. I'm not like all the party guys. Even though he ends up partying later. He's a slacker, really.
And he's got no backbone.
Yes, he's got a milquetoast personality. He's got no drive.
They make him borderline gay, right? He's borderline gay.
Prone to partying at inappropriate times, has no ambition, yada yada. And she ends up with him. But nobody in this movie, I'm trying to think who in this movie, maybe besides the possum, was a likable character.
None. I mean, the girlfriends were all
annoying.
Extremely. He had no friends.
The people that he brought to the wedding party at the end were terrible people. The people, both cops were terrible. Maybe the realtor, even though she was a liar, or was she really a liar? They didn't ask her a question.
She was a realtor. You just said it.
She was a realtor, so there you go.
She wasn't very good. I mean, I guess the realtor is the only one that in this movie that you don't hate. I don't know if you necessarily like them, but you don't hate them.
Yeah. I mean, I liked a couple of the girls. I have no idea who they are, what their names are, or anything like that, but they didn't have clothes.
You even know what they look like, or were you looking down, Brad?
Eyes up here, buddy. Eyes up here.
I'm pretty certain they had hair.
No, I just read that to you. Shaved labia.
That's why I said it was in question. It was up in the air. Well, sure, who knows? Based on what I'm seeing, there's no evidence of such. But this
was such a weird scene to throw into the movie.
And and I kind of dug the fact that Billy Zane was in the movie, because I've always been a Billy Zane fan, even though yes, he plays a two-dimensional character in every film he's in.
We eviscerated the Phantom, and it makes sense that we would go after his next film.
Right.
That's logical progression.
But to see him and to see him in a role that you don't expect him to be, which is a father, I that kind of just blew me away.
I mean, I kind of liked him in this. He wasn't.
I did
horrible, but he was a one note.
But he kind of overplayed his military bearing a little too much. But outside of that, it was fine.
But the scared scene,
don't bring it.
Yes.
He says, I don't get scared easily, and the whole lady catches him from behind.
And he freaks.
That part was funny. All right, so the possum and a scared Billy Zane scene. Those are the only two redeeming qualities of this film.
So far, yeah.
I had to turn it off. Brett, I was trying to watch this movie on an airplane full of people. And
and then the horny scene comes on.
And the pool scene comes on. And my wife looks at me, she goes, "You've got to turn that off. There are people around all these boobs." And I'm like, I can't have this running. I just had to shut it.
Excuse me, my son can see him screwing the fat girl in the swing. Can you maybe turn your screen to the side a little bit so Tommy doesn't have to watch this?
Look, clearly you've never been on Chubby Chaser.
That was another thing that I found interesting in that film, was that the body positivity part of his character was very interesting. Because he was like,
is that where we were going with that scene, body positivity?
Well, not just that scene, but the two women at the pool party who were large women, and that's who he was hanging out with.
But they weren't large naked women.
but they were not large naked men.
So they weren't comfortable with their own skin.
Listen, Aggie, I know you have this predisposition to look at everything from the positive and upbeat, which is it's fantastic for you. But
You know, I'm going to pull a Bart here and say, eat my shorts.
I was paying you a compliment. So put the machete.
Fine.
You're
You're right.
upbeat
This
and
movie was
positive.
great for.
Emotional damage.
What I'm saying is I'm a realist, and this was a complete skank that was screwed anything that moves.
This
That's
is true.
Anything that would get in. Whose sex swing was that? Tommy Lee's sex swing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because he collects historical objects. That's what we're. All right. So I'm going to try to set this movie up because there really is no framework to it. But basically, this is a young couple. They've been house hunting like crazy. He said, "How many have we seen? 6?" She said 11. I think it would have been
17,
funnier
maybe.
the other way.
17
But they find this place, and he says, "I'm absolutely not going to fall in love with it. I'll be the mean cop." They walk in. He's like, "Take all my money." Hilarity, comedy, smacks you in the head with a snow shovel. That's how funny it was. So they love the house. There's a guest house in the back, and Pauly Shore lives in it. Pauly Shore is a party guy. I picked up on that subtle character nuance the 15th time they established it in this film.
Yeah, it's easy to figure out what he does
there was no ambiguity.
I mean, they were carrying that through all the way. And it's like, listen, one scene at the beginning would have set this up fine. But no, we have to have him having massive pool parties. He wakes up in the driveway in Trojan gear for some reason. And just every single time, it's like, just put a neon sign over his head. Party guy. Party guy. I mean,
there's a lot of drug use in this film. A gratuitous amount of drug use, which no drinking. They had some shots and stuff, but there was no
There
like.
was some
drunk-
shots, but the ones that did most of the drinking were the girls with their wine.
Yeah,
they were,
well, and
I mean, we saw him
the-
carrying a keg a couple times, but they weren't really. I mean, they had the one overhead shot where all the red Solo cups drew out the outline of a penis, so there had to have been some drinking taking place. But it's just that was it. So they're stuck for some reason with a guy living in the guest house who's just a party animal to the 10th degree. His room has like Egyptian sarcophagi for some reason, and chili pepper lights around the sex swing he got from Tommy Lee. And he had one of those lights that I've always hated. That's just a ball with 15 colors on it that spins around.
The disco ball, or no, I guess it's not disco. It's
Oh, now I know what to get them for Christmas.
oh yeah, two of them. Get two.
Well, I might pick up the game of soccer if you do.
I thought hockey was more your thing.
Well, I'm just saying, it's probably take a hockey stick to that too. That would be fun.
It's a standard college dorm room. It looked supposed to be a college dorm. Pauly Shore is what, 74 years old? He's not young.
No, he's older than I am.
Yeah.
Is Pauly Shore
He's
in
older
the
than I am.
60s?
Yes.
No, he's not.
I'm pretty sure he's older than I am.
I mean, he was born in 60.
Let me tell you something.
This
The way
fool
he
was
looked
born
in
in
this movie,
68.
he was born in 68. Then he's younger than I am, and he looks worse.
He looks worse. He's 56. Bro, he is in terrible shape.
Okay, I'll say this though. It makes more sense and it's a lot more forgivable that he looks that bad at this age when you have Brian Stelter, who looks far worse than us, and he's about 15 years younger than we are.
Yeah, this
And
is true.
Stephen Miller looks terrible too. That
Yeah.
bro's lived 6 lifetimes.
Yep, he sure has.
But that's the thing is he's lived them. That's good. Brian Stelter has been billeted in his basement forever.
You know, if you go back to look at some comedians from that era, right? Like Eddie Murphy was a hard R comedian. He's kind of revamped himself. He put himself back together, and you got people like oh my gosh, who's the dude from Dennis Leary? Dennis Leary changed himself so he could go from a hard rated comedian to a funny.
Yeah, they
good actor.
made that shift. They did more kid-friendly movies in order to capture a new audience, and so they were more family-friendly. Yes,
They adapted
and
themselves.
You have to.
And Pauly Shore doesn't feel like he's ever changed. Like he's stayed
Well, he's
that
never
same.
acted.
Not really. I mean,
No,
he did
this is
jury
it.
duty if you want to count that.
No, not even.
In the Army now,
That's the same character.
Biodome with Pauly Shore.
Again.
But in the Army,
It's part of a
hold
Weird Al
on.
song. Oh,
Look, give the guy
Now
credit
I'm-
because in the Army now, he really stretched himself. He cut his hair.
Innocent.
he did cut that. And you know what? That was the most intriguing part of that film. I think it was part of the like the most shocking part of that film was that he cut his hair for that role because his hair was iconic, right?
Oh yeah, that was his brand.
I don't know if this was as bad as Carrot Top and Chairman of the Board. No, it was. It's as bad as Carrot Top and Chairman.
I'd put it near there. Yeah, he wasn't as annoying of a character as Carrot Top was, but
No.
the movie was as bad.
Yeah, he doesn't feel like he's ever grown up as far as what he plays and what he does. If you ever watch him on interviews and podcasts, like I've seen several of him, he's just never changed that drunken college frat Weasley guy, and the crusty weasel or whatever. And he's never moved from it. He got Encino Man and Son-in-Law, and those are the only two minor hits that he had, and he just never changed. You want to watch your people develop and grow. And
The thing is, the only reason he has a career is basically he did a caricature of the California surf rat, but the thing is, he was. And the only reason he is popular is because his mother owned, what was it, the Comedy Store, or one of the famous comedy stops in Los Angeles.
Oh, did she? I didn't know that.
And he would get on stage as a result, so kind of nepotism. So he got recognized. He blew that character up, like made it into a caricature on stage. Some people were like, hey, that's kind of funny. And MTV was like, let's give him a shot. And he was like, hey, buddy. And for whatever damn reason, that worked on TV, and he became the Weasel. And
I was gonna say it's basically Spicoli from Fast Times, just up jumped and redone like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
pretty much, yeah. He's like Spicoli the morning after. Like when they recover, this is when they go to Starbucks to get a latte or something. It's like, can I get some more phone? Dude, I've got like a hangover. That's about it. So this is our movie. This is the new couple. They buy the house and they always keep saying, he's going to move out in a couple days. He's going to move out next week. You got to make a move out tomorrow. That's the entirety of the film. And he never does. And he throws parties.
They had exactly 14 boxes to unload in this massive house, and it took them weeks to unload all these boxes.
Obviously, they were not military people because they just didn't know how to unpack it.
Yeah, these people, there's no way. It's weird that the only parent we see in this film, well, I guess her mom shows up.
Her mom shows up, yeah.
Near the end. But really, Billy Zane is the only parent. His parents don't show up at all.
Nope.
No family, no nothing, no brothers. There's nobody for him to have support with. It's just her. How are they not married and buying a house of that nature?
I don't get that at all. Not
Because-
especially in that.
Does that happen a lot?
Well,
I don't know. I've just never
Her
seen
father
that.
gave them the money because he absolutely cannot stand him. So that's.
But I mean, like, why would they not just go rent a place? And he keeps
here's-
calling him renter they call him renter the whole time.
Yes.
But they bought the house.
They bought the house, and the thing is, he works for a skateboard startup, I guess.
Shred
is the name of the guy, who's played by Steve O. And she's a school teacher. And I'm like, I know a lot of school teachers in California that can't even afford to rent an apartment.
Yes, like
it was just last week that an active professor went viral because he is homeless because he can't afford the rent on the salary he is paid at UCLA. And I'm like, okay, dude, you got to get a roommate.
I don't have any sympathy for him because all he has to do is go to the quad and find a tent.
Sure, they're everywhere.
But
he can share one with a possum.
So you have a school teacher here who is buying a home with her boyfriend who works for the startup, and then on top of that, driving a Mercedes. And I'm like, so at the when she got up and the time that she finds Pauly Shore's character passed out right by the gate. She's getting into a Mercedes SUV, and the way she was dressed and everything, I thought she worked for a
law firm or something.
Something.
Advertising firm, something.
A hedge fund manager or
Yeah,
something like
something
that.
important.
And then she's there,
Movie studio exec,
and
something.
then she comes home and she is complaining to him about,
I've been working with a group full of second graders all day.
and I'm like, and you drive a Mercedes? I have never owned a fancy vehicle, and we could afford it. I don't know how she can afford it unless her father gave it to her.
But her father,
Yes, because Billy Zane works for Northrop Grumman, and he's loaded.
Hey, my daughter works for Northrop Grumman. Maybe she knows him.
Yes.
Call her up. Hey, do you know Billy Zane?
Does he really work for Northrop Grumman in this movie?
No, I'm just saying that's where he's getting all his cash
I'm
because he's military. So
And
if
yeah,
he's
it's kind of vague.
loaded.
You never know. All you see is the military awards, behind him and everything. And then, of course, when he finds out that
Maybe he works
she's
for
getting
BlackRock.
married, he's drinking straight out of the decanters.
Yeah, maybe he works for BlackRock.
Maybe.
He's privatized.
Now, he's probably one of those guys that consult on military films in Hollywood. Trains them in military ops so that somebody like Carrot Top can become a Navy SEAL on camera.
Oh,
Oh
Lord.
my gosh. Carrot Top, the Navy SEAL.
Oh.
That doesn't even sound fun as an animated film.
That would, his hair alone would compromise the night mission, I think.
He just walks around making bad puns all the time at the wrong time. Then, you know what? Now I'm into it. He could be making bad puns at the wrong time while sitting. It could be like Tropic Thunder, but with Carrot Top playing the role of a Navy SEAL, playing Ben Stiller's role.
Oh, that would be good.
But animated, so he's only his voice that we have to hear and not see him. He looks like a 74-year-old lesbian.
Yeah, he's kind of sketchy. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, I don't know that I've ever seen anybody overdose on Botox before, but he could be a risk.
Yeah, he's shoved a lot in there.
That boy, I think he's by this point in life 75% post-consumer product.
Mostly silicone.
So this basically is our movie. Pauly Shore's a party guy, if I haven't established that already, but he's a party guy. And they can't get him to move out of the guest house. And it's all about them dealing with it. So I probably at some point in time should learn the name of the lead character in this because I could give a rat's ass. But,
Blake.
Blake Renner is his name.
Yeah.
Blake and Sarah.
Here's a sign that you don't have a script. When the same thing keeps happening repeatedly. So we've got them constantly saying, we got to get rid of this guy. We have the wife constantly getting upset.
Girlfriend.
We have Blake constantly falling prey to Pauly Shore's drug-addled partying. And we have Blake getting arrested repeatedly. I kind of got tired of him going to damn jail.
When they've had their first run in, when he goes to the guest house to talk to him and to tell him that he needs to get out, and he is in California, he says, okay, because I need to come out.
We've completely lost you guys for a
Commitment.
moment.
The Schlongbong.
The
That's the
Schlongbong.
Schlongbong. How did they not call it that in the movie? It's not called that in the movie. Why is it not called that in the movie, Brad?
Because Brad didn't write this. Otherwise, it would have been
Yeah.
good.
I mean, it's
Also,
and
the
they could have-
Schlongbong would be a great place for a weed/stripper joint.
Mm-hmm.
Paul is
I'm full of
concocting all
ideas
these
tonight,
like
Brad.
Ideas are flowing.
side hustle businesses all of a sudden here.
But yeah, I mean, it completely disjointed when he just says, I need to get high. I need to get really high. And, Randy says, okay, let's go. And now they're all buddy. And then he brings out the penis bong and the camera angle makes it seem like it's Randy's actual appendage.
It's all about the angle.
You know, and it's you know, and I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I had to look away because I'm like, no, I'm not looking at that. That's not happening.
I felt uncomfortable myself watching this because I mean,
I bet you that whole scene was ad-libbed.
Because Paul told me there was full frontal nudity, and so when I saw that, I honestly thought that it was real, and I was like, I did not sign up for this. This was not on the plan. This is not on the plan. No. And then when he makes reference to you got to smoke from the penis bong, I was like, oh, okay. It's just this is a ritual, and it's supposed to look like that. Okay, got it. It was still disgusting, and
I bet you say this is the thing is he's wrapping his lips around a porcelain schlong. It was just as uncomfortable as if it was real. So
yeah,
yes,
the effect
maybe
was
more so, but that was just the first step in making this dude some weird metrosexual kind of situation. He
was like a bisexual, kind of androgynous type of person.
And it didn't make any sense. It didn't fit his character at all, but they kept trying to shoehorn it in. They had that scene. They had another one where he tells his girlfriend to talk to him like a dude.
Yes.
I know it's you, but it sounds like a dude at the same time.
Yes.
But then he's uncomfortable in prison.
Wanted just dirty talk. You know? So had he just said, "Oh, just talk dirty to me," it would have made more sense than talk to me like a dude, because that sounds different.
Well, and she didn't sound like a dude. That was the thing. That she was a terrible dude.
She can't sound like a dude.
Yeah, and he doesn't help his cause either when probably the hottest girl in the movie is coming onto him hard at the skateboard shop, and he's just like, no, ick.
And he's not any kind of like awesome thing to look at, right? So like, why has he got women constantly coming after him?
I kept looking at him. I was like, he reminds me of someone. He reminds me of someone. And I finally placed it. John Krasinski and what's his name? The one that got dumped by Kim Kardashian, the smart water. No, the smart water guy.
I'm completely.
He was on SNL. He was on SNL.
Oh,
Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson. Yes, it's a cross between the two. I saw the similarities, and I'm like,
I did not know that he and Kim Kardashian broke up.
Oh, she dumped him. After the tattoos, though.
I'm going to need a moment here.
I know, it was heartbreaking.
Only because
Pete Davidson.
You put that in my head now, and I'm trying to get it out.
Remember, Pete Davidson dated.
Pete Davidson's pretty much dated everyone, and
all the hot girls. I don't understand how that works.
I don't get it either. I look at him.
Okay.
I wouldn't let him change my oil, and yet, like if I pulled up to the shop, I was like, "Yeah, sir, okay. Do you want that 30W or 40W? I'm going to go across the street now.
Go to Diddy's oil change.
Yikes!
Thanks.
They'll baby your vehicle.
It was, the facial expressions were more John Krasinski, but the structure was more of Davidson's. And I was just like, this is annoying. This is annoying because you know me, I like to look at skulls. I like to see facial recognition, facial mapping and all that stuff, right?
I like to look at skulls.
This guy is trying, he was trying to do the John Krasinski style. And I'm like, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. I mean, it's like somebody doing Christopher Walken. Yeah, you're doing Christopher Walken. Guess what? You're not. So it's going to fail.
I don't understand why he was in this movie and why he was the lead, because he's not.
He was a very weak character.
He's not very demonstrative facially. He's not. I mean, he's not a bad actor, but at the same time, he wasn't captivating in any stretch. His comedic timing was meh. I didn't understand why he's the lead at all, but that's me being hypercritical. Probably his brother.
He hasn't done much since then. He was in something called Bruise Brothers, which, hey, you know what? I give you credit for the pun. I'm okay with that. Yes. And that's kind of it. He
and most of because look, after if you go up,
it's
I guess how he has an actual name, but he was a videographer in Curb Your Enthusiasm one episode. He was an ecology professor in Classmates.
And a balloon seller.
A balloon seller, Another Happy Day. I mean,
So he hasn't done much since then. He didn't do much before then either. So yeah, I mean, he must have known somebody from the movie that allowed him to come into this location, or maybe he was the perfect cost. Maybe it was a cost factor.
yeah,
I was
maybe
going to say that filmography tells me one thing: his real job is a barista.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, they gave him 3 different personalities in this film, right? So they start him off as just like you said, a weak milquetoast kind of borderline Gen Z, borderline millennial type of person.
Right.
Then he changes into some sort of weird party maniac. Then they put him into some sort of vindictive a-hole mode.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, honestly, I like the vindictive a-hole mode. He felt like that felt like he was more comfortable
Right.
in playing that character than he had been in any of the other characters. And so they could have gone back and forth a little longer. Heck, they could have made most of the film about them going back and forth. But they don't do that till like the last 25 minutes, the third act. That's basically
But see, you don't understand something, Paul. After 4 arrests, that hardens a guy. He's seen stuff.
Yeah. Well, he did get petted in the prison.
He had to spend up to 48 hours at the Gray Bar Inn. You don't know what it's like in there, man.
The Gray Bar Inn.
Stick around.
That's what Aggie calls her guest house.
So this pretty much is our film. Literally, like the wife gets crabby. He's got to go out and lecture him and tell him to move. He's like, you got to lighten up, buddy. And then he lightens up and takes drugs and a party breaks out. And then the next day they have to deal with the aftermath.
And then randomly Steve-O shows up.
Yeah. So we get a view of the workplace where Blake is at. Steve-O is Shred, the namesake, dare I say, the titular character of the skate shop. And basically he's Steve-O.
Pretty much. 36 skin grafts. What do you say? None of my original teeth.
None of his original teeth.
Yeah, he goes through a rendition of all the rebuilds that he's gone through, pretty much because he was on the set of Jackass for 8-9 years or something. And then he plows his head into a support beam for no reason whatsoever. One of the vaguely amusing lines is like, damn, how come every time I do that, I hit a stud?
Because you're Shred. That was his response. Because you're Shred. His introduction is him skateboarding through a plate glass door.
Yeah. And there was no explanation to that either. Like, I was waiting for him to get up and say, when did we put a glass pane in there or something? Nothing. He just, I'm going to go through it and start my meeting.
Or come to the wedding, or maybe he's partying with Pauly Shore at some point. Though I think, didn't Steve-O get himself all cleaned up? Like he struggled bad with addiction early on, to the point where I think Knoxville kicked him off the show.
Yeah.
Because he was having a really bad struggle.
I think this was an SAG film. Like, oh, we got to make a movie and put all these people here so they don't lose their SAG,
status.
Yeah. It's pretty, I mean, Lou Ferrigno has a role in this, and I'm like,
Lou Ferrigno Jr., yeah.
I'm like, holy crap.
But Lou Ferrigno Jr. has been acting on SWAT, the TV show SWAT, for a little while.
Oh, but okay, then explain Chris Kattan.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, that was definitely one to retain the insurance on SAG.
I would have to say that had to be it, because I hadn't seen him in a long time. I don't even know what he's doing.
And nobody misses him.
And suddenly, I'm watching this and I'm like, wait a minute, that's Chris Kattan. And I pause the movie, I run over to IMDb, and sure enough, and it just says delivery guy.
it's yeah, well, I mean, we'll get to that one in a moment. It's just wow. So this is basically the, I don't know, give and take, tug and pull, however you want to describe it. This just constantly goes on. And there was like
rub and tug.
Nice.
Perfect. Perfect. And one night there's this massive party that Pauly Shore puts on in the backyard. the wife, I don't know how many Ambien she took, but she slept through it entirely. So the husband is just like, you have to get out now. Everybody has to leave. You all go out of here right now. I'm going to bump rails and smoke pot with you. And does. It's like, what? How did that even transpire? Where did
And he tells that one girl to put, there's probably what, 12 or 13 topless women. There's like at least there's at least 5 fully nude women.
Yeah, there were 4 or 5 fully nude, and then there were about 6 others that were just topless.
Completely topless. They're wandering around drinking and whatever. And he just tells one of them, go put a top on. There's like 6 others standing around him without a top.
Right.
Like, what's going on?
That's kind of hypocritical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she had a nice rack. I'm not going to lie. She had a nice rack, but still, I'm like, why not the others? Are they not just as nice?
She was probably the daughter of one of the producers or something.
Hers were fake, and he's a purist.
Maybe. I
don't know. This is us trying to make sense of this movie. Okay.
Well, the thing is, here comes the I guess you said the black lesbian.
Yeah, the black lesbian.
Shot of whiskey or whatever, and telling him to down it. And right after that, that's when, the hell broke loose. And I guess he was drugged with the whiskey, because later on, he's coming out and apparently there was a fire.
He exploded his own.
Okay, there was something I didn't understand, and this movie defies curiosity, so I did not go back and rewatch it. But there was the one scene where I think a guy was barbecuing in a shop.
Bobby Lee
right.
was doing hibachi on a shopping cart.
Yes.
But whatever he was hibachiing, yes, I made that a verb, he takes it and whips it over to the gazebo, which promptly explodes into fire. What the hell was going on here? Is he?
They were throwing you off because remember later he shows the video of him shooting off the
sparkler or whatever
the bottle rocket into the gazebo and exploding it up. So it was a red herring.
But why did it explode in a ball of fire from that? That's my.
It wasn't the shish kebab that made it explode. It was the fact that Blake was so high that he was wanking around with the bottle rocket and he pointed it towards the gazebo, and that's what happened.
Have you not watched the Naked Gun series? Did you not see what happens when a fireworks store goes off?
But bottle rockets don't explode gazebos.
Nothing to see here.
Right. Which is a fantastic scene, but from a much better comedy where actual humor was employed. But again, a bottle rocket doesn't blow up a gazebo.
No.
So what
they had all the fireworks stored there apparently, because that's where you store fireworks.
Okay, but when that happens, they shoot up in the sky simultaneously. They don't. This was like a propane tank went off.
Yes, it was.
Burned it to the ground.
And this really upset him the next morning. He's like, "And my gazebo is that you haven't used the gazebo once, okay?"
Well, he got arrested that night. That was his first arrest because the scene with Pauly Shore and the cop that shows up is probably the most annoying scene in the entire film.
It was.
I was physically annoyed watching it because the scene there's nothing to it. It didn't serve a single purpose. And it was to establish.
It served one purpose.
Well, it was to establish that he got in good with the cop simply because he hugged the dude and was like a smooth, charismatic talker, I guess, and kept him from being arrested. But then the cop comes back and says he actually arrests Blake and goes, it's illegal to have underage drinking. All the women at this party were naked. So are you telling me that there was underage nudity? Was this this was a Diddy party?
Yeah. But this is California.
It is California,
and it is an open secret over there.
Epstein. It was Epstein. This was the age of Epstein. They could have been doing something.
Don't get me started on Geffen.
But that was their problem, right? They tried to say there was underage drinking happening at this party. Clearly, there wasn't. If
they were underage and they were naked, that would be worse than the drinking.
Right, and he didn't care about that.
Because now you've actually crossed into sexual predator territory, statutory rape territory, and it has become a felony.
But
Right.
who was underage? Everybody I saw in this party was 25 or older.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't
Not
see
to mention
anybody
that it
underage.
doesn't matter what Pauly Shore's character did at the age of 58. If he's at a party with underage girls naked, he's going to jail too. Doesn't
End
matter who
discussion.
owns the property.
Yeah.
So they
And this
to
cop
throw that
had
in
to
there,
be.
and I think that guy ad-libbed that line.
I think so.
I don't
I
think
think-
that was part of the original dialogue.
I think a lot of this was ad-libbed because I think they just set everything up as like, okay, in the next scene we're doing this, and you guys go. Next scene we're doing that, you guys go.
Yeah.
Like, we saw this cop 4 times, and he was every time, you could just tell he's riffing. And
Yeah, he's terrible.
he's an LA comedian. That's the thing, is they're all interconnected. Billy Lee and him and such. Or it's like, okay, the comedian circuit. So somebody in there, I don't know if Pauly Shore was the conduit or what, but
Now,
these people need more seasoning, let's just say.
Well, they needed more. They needed more guidance. It was Sam Macaroni's. It was his job as a director to keep people in line and on script. And because it was his script, you'd think he'd want them to stay on whatever it is they talked about. So it sounds like he let them just riff off of stuff. And some people are not meant to riff. We talked about this during we talked about a movie where Robin Williams, probably one of the best ad-libbers in the entire industry, hands down, was so good at it. And Seth Rogen is terrible at it. He's the worst. When he has a script, he's actually really good and enjoyable.
but not when he.
But when they let him just go, he does it in Neighbors. They allowed him to just like make things up, and he's not good at it. And I don't think most of the people in this movie were good at making things up, and they shouldn't have allowed him to do it.
Now, when it comes to improvisational, believe it or not, it's something you have to work on. A lot of people think it's like, I'm just going to go out there and make it up. But no, you have to develop that. There's like a muscle memory kind of thing to it where you pick up on what the other person is saying and then bounce off of it. Yeah, you're making stuff up on the fly, but you have to do it in a way that feels organic instead of just, I'm going to tell a joke now. Here's my joke. And you tell it. And that's because that's what it sounds like when you riff and ad-lib poorly.
The guys from Whose Line Is It Anyway do a really good job of improv, but they've been doing it for 3 decades.
Yeah, and I think they also have like I think they work off a list of sorts because a lot of times like something gets randomly thrown at them and they've got something really clean really quick and you're like, okay. But again, you could see too when they work properly, that's the way it should go. I've watched Second City documentaries before, the comedy troupe out of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do is called a laboratory, where they, you see like skits on Saturday Night Live. They start with a skit and they do that repeatedly, but the audience throws stuff at them and they incorporate and they rework. And then they, like they'll be in a scene that's already established and they'll throw them a curveball with a new topic and then they have to work on it. But they have a foundation, it's all a way of working comedy so that it actually is funny as opposed to you just being, hey, I'm going to pop off now and do something on my own. Hey. And people are like, stop, please. Don't do that, Seth Rogen. So
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
What it feels like here almost is like every single day they showed up. It's like, okay, this is the scene where he puts a tent on the guest house to fumigate it. And we're just going to riff all day on that. As opposed to having an actual script with actual lines and a plot line to follow. It's just more like, today's the pool scene, guys, let's do it. And they'll do this for 8 hours and see if they come up with any material that can fill 2 minutes of screen time, that kind of thing. It's literally how this movie feels.
I couldn't find any information on it. I would love to see how long it took them to film this thing. I bet you they shot this in under 3 weeks.
The weird thing is, it came out in September of 2020 during the COVID lockdowns.
So they would have filmed. They probably would have filmed it in 2019.
So
yeah, they shot ahead of it.
Also, in 3 weeks, most likely.
It's got to be. There's no way they had the budget to film this thing for a long period of time.
No, 80% of the film took place on that property. So they probably leased out that home for like 2 months max.
Oh, even the police, even the jail was most likely filmed in the garage.
Oh, definitely. There was absolutely no. It was so. The shots were so closed in that you could not tell.
Well, what about the
the scenes
hospital
with- the
scene
scenes
too?
with the dad's library got to
Yeah.
be in that house.
It has to be in that house.
Yeah, I mean, they were in that hospital, quote hospital. I think it was like 8x8. The entire scene took. I think they probably hung a curtain. It's like, doesn't that look like it's an ER? Okay, we'll do that, and that'll hide the kitchen.
It looked like an ER. It looked like a hospital room from an 80s sitcom.
Yeah, it also gave a Plan 9 from Outer Space vibe with the shower curtain, bag, and, all that kind of stuff. So
They painted the wall green because I think that's what hospitals have, and they
I'm just
brought in a
wondering-
gurney. They rented a gurney from Prop 205 for a day, and they had a guy wear a white smock, who, by the way, was the director. Did you know that?
yeah,
That was the director?
Yeah, the foul-mouthed doctor was
Wow.
Sam Macaroni.
Sam Macaroni. I hope that's
I
I hope
would
that's
change
not
my
his real
name.
name.
But maybe he did change it to that. I don't know.
Supposedly, he's directed a legit movie.
Did he just have money to burn for this one? Is that what happened?
No, he had other people's money to burn.
Oh, okay.
It's what it is.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I do wonder if the wardrobe that Pauly Shore had here and all of the paraphernalia actually belongs to him. I would not doubt it. I mean, it worked for The Big Lebowski when, Jeff Bridges showed up in his wardrobe to read for the part. The Coens looked at each other and said, "Oh, yeah, and you need to dress like that. That's exactly what we're looking for." And it was his entire wardrobe. Wardrobe was not involved with Jeff Bridges in the making of The Big Lebowski.
Oh, he did something. I see why Steve-O entered into this movie.
Oh hell, I'm losing you again. Hang on. We're getting robot again.
Oh, now.
Okay, there you are. So you said, I know why Steve-O's in this movie, and then you turned into Plan 9 from Outer Space. And now I lost you entirely. Wow. So literally, we're having these issues because Aggie lives in the sticks. Her home is located, I think, a good couple of miles off the beaten path where they're at. Did I lose you guys outright? Or did you lose me? Maybe that's the question. Maybe I'm the one. Maybe I'm the problem here. Or are you guys just screwing with me? Oh, man. As bad as this movie is, and we're going off the rails as it goes. Well, what we're dealing with in this film at this point in time is conflict. So we see a scene where the wife goes to see her father because she's in conflict. Pauly Shore is making her question things. She doesn't feel good about herself. She doesn't feel good about her condition, her potential marriage to this guy, and her dad's no help because he hates the guy, is what it comes down to, which we're coming to learn. So Billy Zane, bald Billy Zane, by the way, no longer follically in condition of sorts. So he's basically a hard-ass military guy, and he hates Blake. And he wants his daughter to date and marry Kip. We keep getting this. Kip is Lou Ferrigno Jr. He lends nothing to the film, I just want to say. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't really contribute much outside of like nodding at the camera and am I good looking enough? I'm going to be that guy. I'm Kip. Dad likes me. I should marry her. Doesn't. And that's literally all that he contributes to this thing. So the conflict here really doesn't work for the simple reason, as we said before, we don't care about anybody. And that's the problem. We don't care about these people, so we don't care about their conflict. And now we got to deal with something. We got to deal with a movie that's only halfway through with people we don't care about that are having problems that we don't care about. So, well, and this is the most contrived part. This is the part that I don't understand at all. There's a hot girl at the skateboard shop. Her name is Jenny, played by Charlotte McKinney. You probably don't know her by name. She is the insufferable blonde on Ridiculousness, the clip comedy show on MTV, where her entire job is to go, but I don't know. Here she's kind of hot. Here she's kind of smoking, and she's coming on Blake like hard. This is another form of conflict. So basically, things build up to the point where Pauly Shore is such a problem, and they get in fights, and there's conflict, and he says, "You can't get rid of me because I'm the tenant. You got to stay on that side of the line, buddy." And I'm trying. I'm sorry. I'm trying really hard to care about what's going on in this film, and I don't. So he's not going anywhere at this point. That's established. Pauly Shore is just going to party and going to be an ass and insufferable, and we have to deal. So what are we doing then? What's the solution? Because she's getting upset. Dad hates Blake. They're going to get married, but not going to get married. He keeps getting arrested repeatedly. And then Pauly Shore starts to, I guess, take revenge on them. He sneaks into the house and injects all of their water bottles with a drug. Turns out to be Molly. And this has effects. The wife is out jogging one day, and all of a sudden she just becomes hyper sensitive and wants to touch everything. And then Blake is at work. He's starting to get affected by Molly because I guess they all have to drink out of the same water bottle. And now he's at work, and now the hot girl comes onto him a second time, and now he's all for it. So we have to care. We're supposed to really care about this. And things resolve to a degree. They almost make some tremendous mistakes, but then they come back and then they kick Pauly Shore out. Enter the possum. This is our hardcore drama, I guess. I don't know. It's rather confusing.
Uh-oh. One moment, please.
Can you hear me?
I've got you and Paul, but I lost Brad.
Okay.
When Brad left, all of our mics started working.
Well, no, everybody dropped off. I don't know what happened. I was working on something else, and all of a sudden the sound stopped, and I looked up, and everybody was gone. Now you and Aggie are both back, but I don't have Brad.
Yeah, something happened to the stream.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and leave mine.
Yeah, I don't know where Brad went. Hey, let me find out if I can get a hold of him.
I just texted him.
So Brad was the problem, I'm guessing. It could just.
I was gonna say I've never had an internet issue with you. We do shows once a week.
No, I know, and I've never had the connectivity issue that Paul's been having on his laptop. So
I'm back in.
There he
there
is.
you are.
Yeah, we're starting to think maybe it was you with the internet problem, sir.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh.
We're just throwing you to the wolves, Brad, because we can.
Did I kick everybody off or something?
I'm not sure because I went into Spreaker with my phone and the mic still didn't work.
And mine too.
Her phone mic didn't work. We logged in on her laptop. You dropped off and all the mics started working at once.
I'm not sure how that makes any sense.
I'm going to blame the possum.
It's techno magic, sir. Just go back to doing your.
I'm blaming the possum, Brad.
So where did anybody lose everybody or not? I was like,
We heard you
working on
talking
my
about
own.
Charlotte McKinney. You said that's the girl from Ridiculousness.
Okay. Wait, so you guys could hear me. We couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I
Right.
could hear you. We could hear you fine. You couldn't hear us.
The F? Okay. So, yeah, I'm like texting everybody. Rick, where you at? Nothing. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah. And
Ridiculousness?
I did not even recognize her because I'm thinking this blonde's kind of hot. And on Ridiculousness, it's like, please stop talking. Take the microphone away from her. But, yeah, this is when... I think it's the same kind of thing. It's like everybody knows everybody that wants to work. So it's like, hey, are you available on Thursday? We need a blonde. That kind of thing.
Yep.
Oh, hell.
You're sounding like the wormhole scene from Star Trek again.
Losing him again now, damn it.
So weird.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, there it is.
Aggie, have you ever done a show from your guest house? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's too far away from the equipment.
No, we're in my room.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're in her actual room where she records. All I did
Well,
was
yeah.
move her laptop and put mine down.
Well, yeah, I'm just weirded out because we've never had a problem like this, and we do a show once a week.
Yeah, she's always perfect as far as sound goes. That's weird. But
Oh, nice addendum there.
Way to say it, Brad.
I'm thinking Florida man's having some internet issues. That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe.
But how am I affecting their internet?
You're
I think
not.
you mean me.
You're affecting every. No, I was talking about him because I think he's affecting everybody's connection.
Well, okay. Can we all agree this movie sucked eggs?
Yes. Well, look, I needed to make sure I brought this point up because it bothered me where he said, I'm going to rebuild the gazebo
Yes.
after it exploded. And apparently he rebuilt it with all the same dirt and soot and black mold on the sides. It still had
Yeah.
the same aging. None of it looked like it was new at all.
There was nothing new of that gazebo, and I was like,
Well, see,
And he
this
built
is the
it that
thing
night
is
before the wedding party.
Yeah.
when it comes to memories, you have to rebuild all the flaws back into it. So
yeah,
made
and
sense.
and a gazebo is not easy to build because it's a symmetrical structure that has absolutely no right angles. It's and for them to do it overnight. I mean, if one day to the next it appeared.
Yeah.
No.
Blake doesn't strike me as a guy that could build a gazebo by watching DIY Network. Sorry.
He can't even build a nice,
Yep. Well, this is
no, he can't even roll his own joint.
Yeah, he can't even roll his own joint. Yeah, in your face, Blake.
and this is a
It's gonna
guy
be
that
a loser,
proposed to
Blake.
his wife
Maybe I'm
with no
drunk.
ring. He gets on his knee and he clamshells his hands. Imagine there's a ring here. That's how much I love you.
Yeah, no. This is not no.
It's like you're gonna have to plan this a little better there, son. So go back to your skateboard shop and your hot blonde, and you two see if you can hash out a better proposal. Let's see if that's possible, maybe. But I was getting into the Molly scene where he's gone and injected all the water bottles in the house, and everybody's affected by Molly.
Yes.
This was one of the dumber scenes in an extremely dumb movie. And the wife comes home and she's rubbing pillows and she's feeling everything. And she's like, yes, oh, I just have to feel. And then a delivery comes to the front door.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
Perfect cue, Rick.
Oh, that wasn't me this time. I missed my cue.
Who shows up, Brad? Brad, who shows up in this movie?
I totally cued the line. I paused waiting for that, and you did it in perfect timing. Excellent.
Here's the delivery driver.
Yep. So the delivery driver is Chris Kattan, who basically is playing a stunted version of Corky Romano, if you can imagine that.
Oh my gosh, there's a movie we should talk about one day.
Oh, we're going to do Corky Romano.
There's not enough Hadaway for that movie.
So she is in her mode of just like, I need to touch anything and everything. There's this strange guy that looks like a troll from under a bridge that they dressed in a polo shirt. And he's like, I've got your delivery, man, because it's me, Chris Kattan, because I'm funny when I do this. And she's mauling him, and he's basically turns into an 8-year-old.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know what to do. I don't
And
know
he's
what
like,
to do. Is this happening?
This
This is
sex? And
happening.
he's like turning his way away from her and rubbing her back. And he's like, I'm having sex now. This is sex. I'm sexy. I'm having sex. What the hell is going on here?
It was such a weird scene. You're right. It was a SAG scene. It had to be a SAG scene.
It had to be.
This is
There's
the
no way
extent
it
of
wasn't.
Chris Kattan's scene. It's just like, I'm just rolling on the floor now. We're doing stuff. I'm sexy. For like 2 minutes, this is the thing. And then she finally pushes him out the door. And thank you. That was Chris Kattan, folks. Chris Kattan, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, he has insurance for another 2 years.
Is that what Molly does to you?
Supposedly, it's like, they're
I know it's supposed to make you hypersensitive to touch, but does it like make you a horny goat?
No idea.
Brad, when you used it last, what did it do to you?
Well, I before I took it, I made sure to use a lot of fabric softener, so everything felt good.
You just chain me up like you do a werewolf. That way, when it happens, I don't get out there and assert myself in the world.
Well, here's the thing. I've been around people on Molly, and that's all you really need to never want to be on Molly.
Oh, really? Yeah, I've never known anybody on Molly.
No, they're just they're annoying as piss is what it really comes down to. It's like, oh, it's just you feel so good. It's like, get the hell away from me. All right, go rub the cigarette machine or something. Go, that feels really good. Go over and do that.
Rub the cigarette machine.
So that was Chris Kattan's scene right there. That was the extent of. I don't even know if he had any actual lines. It was really him just going, I'm having sex.
I don't know what to do.
Hard to believe he doesn't have a career. That's shocking. But
like, I don't know. I felt sad for him because I liked Chris Kattan back in the day. I mean, I thought he was funny on SNL, and I don't know what's going on to him.
Well, he had potential, and then it just didn't really take. I don't know. It's weird. But they're back at the skate shop, and Blake is getting mauled by the hot blonde. And then has some form of awareness. He's like, wait a second. I'm enjoying myself. That's not right. Oh, damn it. Cockfield has drugged us. Calls his wife instantly. Whatever you're doing, stop doing it. Don't do it. We've been drugged. Because that's a conversation couples have. And
every time. Yeah.
So she kicks him out of kicks Chris Kattan out of the house, which she probably should have done within 5 seconds. And he comes home and he's sweaty, she's sweaty, and it's like, oh, that damn Cockfield, we have to get rid of him for the 75th time in this film.
That's it. This time he's gone for good.
Yes. I mean it. It's gonna take this time. It doesn't take.
It doesn't.
What was it with the director's love of slow motion?
I didn't understand that. at all.
Inappropriate use of slow motion. Now, I will say the only time the slow motion scenes worked was where he punched Pauly Shore in the throat and knocked him off his ass and put him, in the air. That was he had a slow motion scene. He had a slow motion pause. All the rest of the slow motion didn't make any sense, did it?
No.
Well, I can tell you this. It probably comes down to the fact that the DP on the film director of photography. He probably came to the directors like, hey, you know what? I got a buddy of mine that's working on Mission Impossible and they broke for the weekend. I can get a slow-mo camera for about 12 hours.
Yeah, that's probably what he did. That's probably what happened. Like, legitimately, that's probably what happened.
Dude, we got to get that. Oh, what can we do? We got to come up with some reason to use it, though. We need guys flying through the air. Okay, what if he punches Pauly Shore and he floats in the air for like 90 seconds?
And then and then that one dude where the gazebo blows up, that was the other use. And then the one guy using a dirt bike that came out of nowhere to water ski across their pool.
Mm-hmm.
Those were all the slow mo scenes.
I didn't understand the gazebo explosion though, because it burst into fire and there's two guys and they're running and you're watching them and they're very, very slowly running. Massive conflagration behind them. They're still running in slow motion. It takes like a minute, and one of them starts to go, ow, and then starts to turn sideways and grimace a little bit that he's being affected by the explosion. It's like, what? Okay, this isn't a spy movie where we want to see the pyrotechnic. These are jackasses partying around a pool. I don't need this. How about the naked broads? Do them in slow motion. Something like that. But this is like, so the gazebo's still blowing up. I'm going to go make some toast and come back. Is it still on fire?
It's still on fire.
Almost done. Okay, got it. That's about the extent of that. That's the impact it had
What's
on
a
the movie.
possum in slow motion?
That would have made more sense.
Slow motion possum would be a fantastic name for a band.
Well, maybe an opening band.
Still a fantastic name.
Yeah, we'll die on that hill.
So after this disastrous party and arrest, Blake comes up with the idea that he's going to put a exterminator tent on the guest house.
Which is a great idea. It's a great idea, to be honest with you. If you're trying to get a tenant out, do it. But you would think that they would have already checked to see if anybody was in the house, like the tenter.
No, that was going to say that was the brilliant move. Never told him about it. And if I'm understanding correctly, he did this himself because we see him in the full body protective gear and goggles.
Well, there was another guy in the full body. He was shoving the smoke in while he was standing there drinking his coffee and flicking the dude off.
Yeah. There was a guy by the tent while Blake was over across the way drinking his coffee and flipping him off.
Okay. So he knows a guy.
Yeah.
That's what it comes to. And so Pauly Shore comes out and he's coated in white poison and somewhat throwing up. And then was he referencing his body or something? Like,
yeah, he said all your bodily functions happen at once. And then so he pooped himself, threw up. I guess he peed, and then it looked like he got an erection. It was really weird.
Cried.
And then cried. And then ran out the gate for whatever reason. And his pants had a hole in them. Did you notice that his pants were blown out?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get any of that.
I did not, but I'm generally not predisposed to look at Pauly Shore's ass. It's just a defense mechanism I have.
Blown out pants. That's another name for a good band.
Yeah. There's a lot of good names for bands on this movie. I'll say that. That is the one contribution they've done.
Okay, now, Aggie, if I ever tell you I'm going to a music festival with Paul, please stop me.
I mean, most of these are going to be bluegrass, if we're being honest.
It's like, yeah, we're going to go out to the field. We're going to watch these afternoons. Parking stop on fire. What? Oh, they're a Skinner cover.
Just a guy on an upright bass and a banjo player.
Wow. There better be moonshine over at the snack bar.
Well, yeah.
Well, where do you think the bass is? Where do you think the dude's playing over there on that Triple X jug?
So now, well, I will say this. There was a scene early in this movie where Pauly Shore is in front of the house and he sees a possum just randomly walking around a palm tree or something in the driveway. And he's just like, Blake, there's a monster, blah, 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 and freaking out. And you're like, and they just cut. It's like, what is it going? What? I have problems with this scene. He runs away, scared crapless, and runs to Blake, who doesn't want to help him. But two, possums are nocturnal. Just saying.
That was a big one. I'm like, what's he doing out?
But now
it was the writer's way of setting up that final scene.
No, I know.
Show the possum, then they show the Flocka. He shows a video, goes, this is the drug I really want. I want to get this drug. It's just Flocka. Later, it's a Flocka possum. There's another good name for the band, the Flocka Possums.
Isn't Flocka what had the guy eating somebody's face on the bridge over here in Miami?
Is that a real drug?
Oh, no, that was bath salts.
Bath salts. Yeah, bath salts.
I don't think Flocka's a real drug.
No, it is. I just don't know what the effects are. But
a skinny woman.
Apparently, Flocka makes you do incredibly wild things and forces your friend to record them.
It's on, according to DEA.gov, Flocka, alpha PVP, is a dangerous drug that is similar to the street drug commonly known as bath salts.
Nailed it.
Ding, ding, ding.
Told you.
Oh, it can be eaten, snorted, injected, or vaporized in an e-cigarette.
Or included in cupcake recipes. Don't ask me.
Thank you, DEA.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want your inside info of street drugs, just tune into Disasters in the Making. Reference Brad, and we'll let you know. So if you want to eat somebody's face, if you want to do the bath salts, because that Flocka is just going to make you eat other body parts that aren't as nutritious. You want to go for the face, it's bath salts.
Bath salts.
So here's the third thing that makes no sense. We saw Pauly Shore freaking out because he saw what do you call it? A wombat or something? He's like, there's the driveway. It's
Muskrat.
I call it a muskrat.
Yeah, I knew he misidentified the species.
Of course.
But then all of a sudden we come to realize he's developed a very close relationship with this rodent. And now that he's been run off the property, we see Pauly Shore show up in a ghillie suit. I have questions. And he's got a box. Now, in the interim, our budding couple has decided to actually get married, and they're planning their big party in the backyard. Friends and family are in attendance. Unbeknownst to them, so is Pauly Shore with his Flocka possum. Yes.
The old Flocka possum. Got him with the old Flocka possum trick.
Yeah, it's such a cliche anymore, isn't it? I mean, back in 2020, it might have been a little novel, but these days, Flocka possum is just like, stop it already. We're sick of it. So he's sneaking up with his box, and he opens it up. The possum gets away, runs across the table, starts attacking people. Candle spill, massive fire, goes for one guy's neck.
Possums with sugar on it. And this is the best scene from this movie, and it's so unexpected.
It was the only one I laughed at. I gotta be honest.
It comes from that possum came from a YouTube killer possum prank video.
Did it now?
I clicked on Flocka possum, and there's a YouTube link that says killer possum prank.
Oh my God.
I wasn't aware that the possum puppet actually had a movie resume. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So we're saying this was also a SAG insurance thing for the possum.
The possum puppet has an agent.
They got somebody with 10.5 million subscribers named Jesse on YouTube to post the trailer for this movie that includes this possum and part of a prank 4 years ago, and he's pumping this movie out is what he's doing. They somehow paid him to pump this movie. That's ridiculous. The possum's the best part of this film. No lie.
Maybe that's how this happened. An influencer funded the budget for this film.
It's funny every time I see the better.
The possum puppet was product placement. Jeez.
Oh man.
I found somebody that promoted it, and I've got to retweet this thing. This is,
I mean, that's one way to get your product out there, I suppose. So, at some point in time on this guy's YouTube channel, he's got a video with the possum puppet and said, "As seen in the movie Guest House," as if that's significant.
Yeah.
So, this is, I guess, our next level of conflict.
look at the eyes.
What'd you
They
do?
put some money. All of the special effects money went into this possum.
Yeah, they went into the possum.
Oh, you
I
know
wish-
that. This
How do you
scene
find
was,
out who makes the possum? That's what I want to know.
yeah, it's a good question.
It's eating the dude's face. It's like right up in his throat.
Yep.
And I didn't understand this now, and probably because this scene was entirely ad-libbed, and we're in the hospital now where everybody is getting treated with rabies shots. They start with the scene of him with this sort of a syringe, but I don't even think it had a needle in it. Supposedly he's like, "Phew, okay, there's your last shot." That's what happened. All right. Yep. And this is a doctor that can give two craps about anything. Of course, this is our director, Sam Macaroni, but he's like, so he's going to get better, right? He's like, F if I know. Maybe, maybe not. Who gives an S? It was
Who
like,
gives an S?
what? It was like, how are you a doctor and this bitter in life? And it's like, I shot some crap in his arm. We'll see if he makes it. Maybe he doesn't. Who cares is my point. You know what I'm saying?
It's kind of like the doctor. Remember Cannonball Run? What's his name? Oh my word!
Or the
Jack Elam.
doctor from
He was the cross-eyed Jack
Arrested
Elam.
Development.
the Arrested Development doctor. Well, we've lost him. Oh no! We hit, but don't worry, we'll find him somewhere else in the, in the hospital.
But this is how ad lib goes wrong, where the doctor could be kind of funny in that regard, but he's like, yeah, it's I don't know. I gave him all the shots. We'll see if it works. We don't. You mean he could die? He's like, could, maybe. Well, we have to go tell all the other people you gave shots to, and the scene doesn't go anywhere at that point. It's like, and then we're done. What? The doctor walks off. He's like, yeah, except for that guy. He's in really bad shape. Yes, probably, because he was on the set, so why not? But
As everybody's coming down the aisle.
Yeah, so we get to the point where finally we get to the wedding. And, Billy Zane is there grumbling and moaning and groaning. And they have the ceremony. They get married. The reception starts and everybody starts acting drunk at the same time. Did I miss how did he drug everybody? I missed this entirely.
So there was a small scene and it lasts about half a second, and Bobby Lee and another one of the guys from the party are wearing tuxedos carrying trays, and they walk in front of the house in the backyard.
They drugged the drinks.
Okay.
So they hit everybody.
Because there were times in this movie where I just found myself on my phone balancing the checkbook. It's like, oh crap, I'm supposed to be watching this movie. This movie defied paying attention.
Does it act that fast?
I don't know.
Is it like morphine? I mean, I don't understand. At first I thought it was liquid LSD, because I've never heard of liquid Molly. And I've never heard of a drug taking it over that fast, being ingested that fast. It'd be one thing if they were injecting it. All right, it would be immediate because it's in your bloodstream. But you're drinking water or some other kind of thing. It takes a little bit.
It
Even if you're
has
in
to
the
go
alcohol.
through your stomach. It doesn't. The blood doesn't get to it until the intestines.
Right.
So
it's weird.
it wouldn't be that quick.
Mm-mm.
There would definitely be about a 20-minute.
Way to not do any research and screw up your drug assumption there, macaroni.
Okay, you guys are ruining this movie for me.
Don't worry,
Suddenly, I don't believe anything I've seen on screen to this point because all of it has been completely documentary style veracity. Stick around until the Molly scene because that's going to screw up everything here. Well, as if we're supposed to give two rats asses, and believe me, I got one rat, and I ain't giving it my ass because this movie sucks this much. They get married. He gets arrested again because the party devolves into this bacchanalia from hell. Every single person in the place gets affected to the extreme, but differently.
Grandma's twerking.
The guys start hitting each other. The old broads are all stripping down one hot guy.
Kip.
3 or 4 women bury their faces in the wedding cake and then strip naked. Don't get me wrong. I want to go to this party. The older people are just acting batshit crazy and everything goes nuts. Hey, Blake hasn't been arrested for about 20 minutes. Let's bring the cops in and arrest him once again.
Again. Yeah.
So we revisit the jail cell. This time he's arrested with Pauly Shore. He's so disgusted with him. Pauly Shore's like, yeah, don't talk to me, but I don't want anything to do with you either. The wife shows up to bail out the husband, but not Pauly Shore. He's surprised and upset for some reason. And then the wife is like, okay, I bailed you out. We're through.
Also, I'm pregnant. Dum, dum, dum.
He's like, what do you mean? Well, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm moving back in with my parents. Oh, by the way, I'm also pregnant because there's a twist we've never seen in a movie before.
The bigger twist, the possum was the dad.
Oh my God.
Well, Flocka makes people do strange things, Paul. And when you have Flocka and Molly mixed together, well, it's rolling the dice.
You don't know what Flocka Possum can do, what he's capable of.
Yeah, so she's hopped up on Molly. She wants to pet this thing. Next thing you know, they're raw dogging it in the bedroom. She's impregnated. I'm having a baby. It's not yours. I'm going to go live with my dad because he hates you. And I'm going to marry Kip, the guy who's had 2 lines in the entire movie and has 0 personality. Thank you, Lou Ferrigno Jr.
Isn't that what essentially happened in Roxbury, Night at the Roxbury?
Yes.
Getting Chris Kattan, Will Ferrell's character decided not to marry Molly Shanahan. Again, we've got Chris Kattan and Molly in a film that we were talking about.
Ah, see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chris Kattan and Molly in a film, and he steps out.
You got issues, man. You got issues.
It was a kick-ass soundtrack. I will die on that hill. The movie sucked, but the soundtrack was actually pretty good.
Soundtrack needs to die on a hill. So the wife is going to go back, move in with dad, blah, 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 I'm pregnant and everything. And I want to punch this movie in the throat. So, and by the way, Blake got fired, by the way, because the hot secretary that was jumping him pissed off Steve-O and I guess distracted him from destroying the building. So he had to fire Blake. Maybe. And we think everything.
This movie in the throat, it has to be.
Well, the resolution is this. Let's take the most irredeemable character known to man and redeem him at the end. So everybody's life is torn asunder.
Weird way.
Well, it's just we get to this point where everybody is just like in the lowest possible mode, And literally, I felt nothing but apathy. Good. Go live with your miserable dad. Good. Lose your job and go live in an apartment. Good. You go to freaking rehab or someplace. I don't know, Pauly Shore. Go. I want nobody to be happy at this point in time. I want every single person in this film to be miserable. You're all miserable? Guess what? I'm happy. I love this movie all of a sudden. Everybody's life sucks in this film. Yes.
Well, don't forget, he says this, I didn't want anybody to live in this house because it was my childhood home. So the realtor knew that the guy living in the guest house owned the house?
Well, that's what I'm wondering, because it wasn't the parents that sold the house. Well, the truth was they never disclosed who sold the house.
No. He's like, yeah, I bought the house. I sold a bunch of stuff, and my dad had a bunch of old stuff, and now I'm a millionaire, and I bought this home, and I'm giving it to you because I want a family to live in this house because this was my family house growing up. How would nobody know that that's not him and the family? That's not his family home.
This right here is the director saying, okay, we've got 5 days left to finish this movie. You got to come up with an ending. And the screenwriter was like, damn, I was going to go to the Dodgers game. All right, give me 20 minutes.
No. He went to the Dodgers game and wrote it there.
Yes.
He may have written it on the way to the Dodgers game.
He's up on the mezzanine in the 7th inning stretch, having a beer and finishing. I was like, I know, I've got it. I got the solution. So here's the solution.
Listeners, never write a movie while on Flacco. This is what happens.
It might have helped in this case, but this is the resolution. Everybody's life has gone to shit now. Everybody's happy watching this movie because of this. And then it comes out, they're trying to sell the home, but they can't. Why? It's been bought and given to them by who? By Pauly Shore. How? Through the duration
Napoleon's hat
of the second act of this movie, he's wearing a tri-corner hat for no damn reason outside of the fact it's a party, but I'm nutty.
Wait, was it a tricorn or was it not?
It was Napoleon's hat. It was just a Napoleon sideways hat.
Because this matters.
Listen.
Details, Brad. Details.
So he's wearing this dipshit hat when he's not wearing his Trojan gear and passing out in the driveway because he's a history buff. And he's like, no, bud, I've been collecting history stuff for like ever and from my dad. And I sold my Napoleon hat. And he's like, you sold your Napoleon hat for what? How much? No, it was really Napoleon's hat. I didn't know it. Turned out. So now he's like a quasi-millionaire. Buys the house, gives it to them because he doesn't want them to break up because he wants a family to stay together because Pauly Shore, who wasn't given a damn about anybody, now cares about them, who he has hated for half this film. He's meanwhile living on a boat, partying with half the guy, including the black lesbian and the other person, and the possum.
The possum.
Possum in a pride hat. Possum's wearing a pride hat eating cake.
And tells them, go ahead, live in the house, start a family, and I'm going to come and visit you, buddy. And they walk in, and by the way, the place has already been decked out, and the kids' nursery is already fully furnished because Pauly Shore is actually a swell guy.
And did you see there on the side, on the wall, they had a picture of a giraffe and a hippopotamus, and then right by the light switch was a possum?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all
I enjoyed that detail.
Y'all have no idea. That place had to be gutted down to the studs because the smell had to have been overpowering.
Oh, yes.
There's no way that you could just refresh it with a coat of paint and pretty furniture. No, that had to be destroyed down to the studs.
Well, you're actually forgetting, Aggie, they fumigated this once before. That had a complete cleansing effect. It's been sterilized as a result.
True. That may be true.
By the way, a place that's just been fumigated, perfect environment for a newborn.
Oh yeah,
right.
Nothing better.
So all that lingering chemical smell, nah. It's going to build character.
It's totally okay.
It'll help boost their immune system. Come on, the kid's going to be super. Trust me on this. I'm a drunken millionaire on Flocka in the middle of the ocean with a possum. Take my advice, folks.
Did you notice did you notice what the closing song was in this movie? Did you listen to the closing? Did you watch any of the credits?
I want to say yes, but it was on.
The scene where he says, "I like when you talk to me like a dude. I know it's you," and she says, "F me, bro. F me, bro." They made that a song. The song's called "F me, bro," and they sing it the whole time.
Really, they sampled that line of dialogue?
No, they re-sing it.
Because of course they did. Wow.
I hope there's
sure, why not? I mean, that seems to be the prevailing attitude of this entire movie anyway. Every time they shot a scene, it's like, why not? What can we have a guy on a dirt bike drag a guy on a surfboard through the swimming pool? Why not?
You got it. Anybody else got any suggestions?
I got a bunch of girls from the strip club down the street that are off tomorrow. You want them in the movie? Why not? I have a friend with a pet possum. I knew a guy with a
friend with a pet.
He said all you got to do is let him go to craft services and we could do whatever the hell we want with the thing. Why not? This is one of those movies that just fascinates me, how it got made. Like, where in the process did this get greenlit? I mean, I'm seriously like, who was looking at? There couldn't have been a script. I defy that. So it's like, what led to this? Basically, I think they would say, well, we got Pauly Shore to sign on.
I guess that would be the main attraction. I think it was the possum.
It was the possum.
But see, I mentioned this to my daughter earlier. I was like, well, doing a movie, and there's a rumor Pauly Shore might be on. You lying sexist sons of. She's like, wow, who's that?
Yeah,
my daughter's 27, and she said, "Who's Pauly Shore?"
Yeah, that's just it. The last time that I saw him make a big splash, literally and figuratively, on social media, was right after someone took a picture of Bridget Fonda, and she has been she retired from acting well over 20 years ago, and she was looking a little on the overweight side, but she looked happy, whatever.
Really?
And
Bridget Fonda, she weighs like $105.
Not anymore. She married Danny Elfman and has been a homemaker since then. I mean, she decided to stay home with the kids. And
she married Danny Elfman?
Elfman, yeah.
Really?
She did. And they've been very happy and everything. And that's why she quit acting. She was like done with it. She wanted to be a mom. And so someone took a picture
on all that Tim Burton money.
Yeah, someone took a picture of her shopping, and she was just dressed, in sweats or overalls and a sweater or something like that. And someone made fun of her, and Pauly Shore came to her defense and said, you are out there living your best life just like me, and just to show people that I just don't care, here's a picture of me. And he was literally surfing, and he was very paunchy. And he's like, nobody is going to drag Bridget when they can drag me. So that was something really nice that he did. But that was the last time that I saw him on social media doing something that got noticed by everybody. And I haven't seen him in a movie since forever.
I have.
Yeah, this is maybe the first movie he's done in a very, very long time.
So,
no, au contraire. You people are just not up on things.
No, we're not you, Brad. What did you do?
Well, for reasons known only to Pauly Shore, it's going to sound like I'm making this up. I swear to you, I am not. He has had a passion project in mind for years now. He wants to do the Richard Simmons story.
Okay,
What?
he would be perfect.
He wants to play Richard Simmons, has been kind of lobbying for this. He's been trying to get this backed for a while. He's been meeting resistance, go figure. And then, of course, Richard Simmons recently passed away, which only augmented this. But he has made a 5-minute short film as Richard Simmons.
See, that works for me.
I think he would do really well as Richard Simmons.
He portrays Richard Simmons during an episode of the Ellen talk show where he's on, and he actually befriends a schlubby guy that works on the staff that everybody thinks is brand new. He's like, I've been here for 7 years. And he actually like sits down and commiserated with him, and like you can watch this on YouTube. It's called The Court Jester.
Court Jester.
Look, that's a Danny Kaye movie. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
which I introduced my daughter to, and she absolutely loves.
Right?
She loves
I
Danny
love
Kaye
it.
now.
I love it.
He doesn't put the vessel in the pestle. Or is it the
Because
other
it's
way
not the
around?
brew that is
That's
true.
See that? Look at that. We are just a collection of cineasts, aren't we? Yeah, we got 8 minutes to kill here. We have to fill for 8 minutes yet. But no, honestly, God, he has been wanting to do this, and I don't know if the passing of Richard Simmons has impacted this. Like, there's been some question if his estate wants him to play the role or not. Now I don't know, but
You know what? If he
goal.
tried, he could pull an Adam Sandler in like Uncut Gems, and he
Mhm.
could probably pull that off to the point where that might actually work.
Yeah.
I could actually see that him playing that character if he was to like take it serious and not turn it into a joke.
Well, he didn't,
I
but at the
think-
same time, I think he needs to work on it because really it was Pauly Shore dressed as Richard Simmons. It literally.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's also a short video, right? So
yeah, it's 5 minutes, but I mean, it's the whole time. I mean, it's like clearly Pauly Shore, even though he's got kind of the hair wig and dresses up in the tank top, spandex, spackle, and such. But it's like you're not really channeling Richard here, are you? But
Yeah.
maybe, man, we'll see. I just don't. I'm unclear of the demand for such. You know, like, what? If, like, let's just say the box office major release, the Richard Simmons story. What would be the box office on that?
Well,
Seriously.
do not underestimate because Richard Simmons had a
good
following that has been with him for 50 years.
I
easily.
know. Yes, I agree. How many of those
it'd be a
people leave
straight
the house?
crackle release, though.
Yeah.
These people don't leave the house.
Well, but they would for him.
Or it'd be a Roku channel.
I mean, he
Yeah,
he revolutionized exercise. He revolutionized eating. He had a great daytime talk show. I know because I used to watch it. It was great. He was on General Hospital. He was regulars on several nighttime soaps. I mean, the guy had a really healthy following. And
Okay, you're underselling something here, Aggie.
what?
Deal a meal.
Deal a meal.
Deal
Oh my
a meal.
gosh, yes.
Deal a meal. Yeah. That's
Deal
what
a
I said.
meal.
Revolutionized, eating habits and stuff like that. I had his two of his cookbooks that he hawked on QVC when he first got into writing, recipes and making a cookbook. And I had that. And my mom, she was like, "Can I borrow that?" I haven't seen it since. This was at least 25 years ago. I haven't seen this book.
He was 76 when he passed away.
Yeah. So, I mean, I remember him in 82, he was on General Hospital, and the Sweating to the Oldies thing was a phenom that just did not die. People still look for those stupid tapes. I mean, I'm not even kidding. I was at a thrift store and A lady was buying the DVDs of Sweating to the Oldies.
Really?
Yeah, she was buying them.
You know, if you ever get a chance, go to YouTube and search Richard Simmons, Whose Line Is It Anyway? And laugh your ass off.
Oh yeah, it was
Oh
great.
my gosh,
He was-
it's one of the best guest host performances outside of Robin Williams being on that show. It's one of the best guest cameos.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine that.
I know. It's just that it was rather niche, but the niche was actually very healthy. I mean, once he had a fan, the fan never left him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was.
So if
it's
Shore
weird,
wants to
but
do that, he has to do it right.
He has to
It's
do it
all
right,
or he
and
loses- he-
yeah,
he'll
and
anger a lot of people.
he's gonna
Hang on,
have
guys.
to-
I love all three of you, but it's going to take you like 10 minutes to give all your stuff, and we're down to 5.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
no,
just about to
I'm
say
not
that.
doing
Must
anything. I'm not saying where I'm at. You can find me on Twitter. Okay.
You can find
I'm
me on
good.
Twitter.
Aggie, where are you? Aggie, get back here, Aggie!
Nope.
So, yeah, I was going to jump in and do just that. But okay, since our producer did so. Hey, Paul, where can people find more of you?
Find me on Zitter at Movie Paul. I'm bouncing around here still.
Don't
More games
undersell
over
your
here.
TikTok toilet video channel.
TikTok toilet channel. That sounds right.
Oh, that's really the title of it, huh? Okay. Got to come up with something catchier there, though. It's like flush to
Flock
success
of Possum.
on the. How about you, Aggie? You want to promote anything?
No, not really. Everybody knows me.
Aren't you
I'll
on?
promote myself on my show tomorrow.
Don't
You
you
go
have
on.
like a? I thought you had like this show on Tuesdays that everybody like flocks to. But okay, whatever, no problem.
Yes,
As for
with
myself,
the Everswab, with the Everswab.
at the moment's passed. The moment's passed. Never mind.
Okay, fine, whatever.
The moment's passed.
He's such a
Speaking of moments,
For me, I can be found daily over at townhall.com with my daily media column, ripped from the headlines, front page of Red State on a regular basis. I got a twice weekly podcast there called Liable Sources, and I'm on KLRN more often. Next Thursday, I'm here with Ordy Packard to go through the entertainment information on the Culture Shift. And since Aggie didn't mention it, Tuesday evenings at 8:30, I'm here with the ever effervescent Her for the Cocktail Lounge, where we discuss culture and other sports, art, all kinds of leisure activities to help you get through the mayhem. And if you need more of me than that, let's face it, you do. Head over to Jitter.
No,
I
you
am
don't.
at Martini Shark. All right. That's going to do it. Paul and I, we're going to have to put our heads together now. Once you get done with your little vacation in Texas and come up with another title. So in 2 weeks, we'll be back with some more miserable cinematic experiences here on Disasters in the Making.